everyone. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. I am your host, Therese Tucker, and what a week. It's been such a week, I haven't even been here for it. So Monday the 17th is when I'm recording this. I didn't even get to Karma Cards last week because we had so much shifting energy. It literally took me out. I hope you fared better than I did, but I was so low energy. It was hard to get just the basic things done. So I felt like I was in super conserve energy mode, and maybe you've been feeling that way too. And the reason why is because we've had a lot of incoming solar activity. The Schumann is bouncing up and down. We're getting these big white streaks. We're having the KP index up in the 5 and spiking into 7 and things like that. So this is just signs pointing to high frequency energy coming in. And a lot of us have been having that feeling of I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. I just want to sleep, and maybe wanting to sleep, but feeling like you can't sleep. In any case, there has probably been a natural instinct to sort of pull in, cocoon, and conserve your energy. And if that's been you and you feel guilty for that, I'm here to tell you, let it go. Don't feel guilty for needing to conserve your energy. When we are processing such high frequency energies, it's going to take our energy out of what we would normally put it into, whether it be our work and showing up for that, or showing up in our life in a much fuller way. And you might have to feel like you're on battery saving mode, and that's okay. Sometimes these are part of the cycles, and what's happening while we are down, so to speak, is so much rebuilding on an internal structure. Again, everything becoming more crystalline, moving away from the carbon base into a crystalline plasma base. And it's happening incrementally, a little bit at a time. Not all of our system is going in that direction, but many parts of your system are. And for women specifically, the womb area was highly activated during this time. So if you had inconsistencies in your cycle in the last week or so, that's part of the reason why, is we are transmuting and moving through and birthing so much of this new energy. So if you're feeling low energy, hang in there. Understand it's all part of the process, and you will come out of it stronger. But in the meantime, in the processing time, you gotta be on battery saving mode. Now, some other good news is that we are in the home stretch of Mars retrograding in Cancer. Will end on the 23rd of February. There will be a little shift period, and then Mars will start moving direct in that energy again. So we're still in the last stages of reviewing our motivations, and specifically looking at where our insecurities lie and how we try to get those needs met through the actions we take or what we're doing, and kind of cleaning that area up. Again, we're focusing on letting go of being motivated by something lesser than a soul directive or soul alignment. So we're looking for a pure motivation in what we're doing, whether that be to follow the call of your heart, whether it be to live in alignment with your higher values, whatever it is that's motivating. We're being asked to look at our motivations as right now and consider what it would be like to be motivated by a higher aspect of ourselves. And that can mean that a lot of the insecurities will show up. So maybe during this period of time, if you've been struck by it and felt a need to conserve or utilize less energy, if there's guilt associated with that, that can come from that insecurity of maybe if I'm not doing anything, nothing's happening. That's a difficult one to navigate because we all kind of get sucked into that, and there's definitely a history for that kind of behavior, especially related to third density. That was more where hustle lived. Now in the fourth density where we're hanging out, it's more about alignment and attunement and energetically matching. As we energetically match things, they move forward much more easily versus trying to push it forward or push yourself forward. So that might be an area to look at if you feel like having all this downtime is affecting you. And of course, I'm saying that from my own experience as well, because yes, that comes in for me too. As I'm taking a break and I'm following the call, I am having to process those feelings of I should be doing more. But when the body says no, you got to listen and pay attention to the body so that you can be in alignment with it and not go out of alignment. All right, so the message from the team this week is still about our ability to create the reality that we desire. So much is coming through specifically about creating the life that you desire versus creating from a place of reaction. So it's still about this reaction versus responding energy. And one of the things that's come up that I've been talking to them about as I'm working with people is, okay, I understand that I get to create the life that I want, but look at all these things happening in my life that I don't want, and they're literally happening. Are you asking me, team, to ignore what's happening here? These are their problems, right? Whether we're faced with something that has to do with our health or our finances or our relationships or our well-being in general. What if these things are going on while I'm trying to create this life that I want? As I'm saying, yes, this is what I'm calling in, this is what I desire, I'm still dealing with the catalyst and the challenges. And they're letting us know that yes, those are there. It's not that we ignore that. So often the criticism about conscious creation, or some people call it manifesting, or the quantum future self-alignment, the criticism is about this is going against reality, that you're not in reality, that you're sort of doing something woo-woo, or you're being delusional and believing that you have any sway on creating what happens in your life, when there are real problems and there are real issues that are unfolding. And there is sort of a juxtaposition here that we have to deal with, because yes, these things are happening. Yes, you will still be met with challenges. So all along, as I've been sharing this message, I've been pointing out that you will still be met with challenges and catalysts, whatever they're supposed to be. That those are actually like growth checkpoints or growth advantage points. And it's all in how we're looking at it versus seeing it as good or bad, right? So oftentimes when we have a challenge come up or there's a problem, we automatically deem it as bad. And we see this as a pull against us, that is trying to take us apart and not build us up. And the message from the team is that you want to look at these incidences as objectively as possible. So honestly, when something is happening with us, what often happens is there's the objective truth, and then there's the story we put on top of it. And that's usually sort of intermixed with our reaction to it or our response to it. Because either way you go, there is a story that you're going to add. One is sort of a default fear story that's coming from your survival instincts, right? It's coming from that like lizard brain that we have that's just here to survive. So there's that reaction. And then the story is what's built up about that reaction, right? This horrible event is going to happen and it's going to devastate your life and it's going to take you down a negative road. And look at all these worst case scenarios. And now I have to like figure out how to combat these worst case scenarios. And this is sort of an unconscious, spontaneous reaction that we're having. And that's the story. Now, underneath it is just the solo event. It's either, right, a bit of news about there's something that's happening, like I got in a car wreck, right? Or I got a bad report back on my health, or I got, fired from my job, or I got broken up with, or something's happening. There's a core thing that's happening, and then there's everything that you're telling yourself that's going to happen as a result of this incident. And there's a story there. Then there's the response version, which is there's the core incident, the core objective event, and then there's the response story of things like, this is here to grow me. This is something about this is serving my highest good. I am choosing that this actually takes me up a level or gives me awareness or information. There's something I'm gaining from this objective experience that's allowing me to move forward in a positive direction. So both of those are stories. One story serves you and builds you up, and another one sort of devastates you and takes you apart. So what we're being asked to do again is observe what's happening. And it's easy to do it with bigger events. It's actually one of the gifts of a sort of catalytic event is clarity. It's like you can see, one, here's the inciting event. Two, here's my reaction to it, which again, we're just going to say, okay, that's an unconscious response because I want to survive. So bloop, there it is. Then there is the very conscious decision about how I'm choosing to respond if I go there, right? So the unconscious reaction is going to happen spontaneously and quickly. And I don't know if we can fully avoid that. Even if you become super conscious and awake to your own patterns of thinking and behavior, the knee jerk, jump back and oh my God moment is still going to happen. It's just before I take action, I think and I consider, and then I move into response. Whereas when we're unconscious or unaware of the patterns, or we're not observing ourselves, we react and then we take action from that reaction place. And so what they're guiding us to do right now is to unplug from the next step, meaning that let's say I have a catalytic event. The objective event has happened. We'll make it a car accident. So here's the objective event. My car just got smashed. My reaction, oh my God, this is going to affect me being able to get to work or get to the store, or oh, my insurance is going up, or oh my God, what if this leads to long-term medical injuries that I can't afford to cover, or oh my, what is this going to do? I'll never get this fixed, or it's going to take so long to get this fixed, or this is going to cost me so much money, on and on and on, all these stories about what's going to happen, right? There's my reaction. It's asking me to, before I step into action, to step back. And in an instance like a car accident, this is pretty quick, right? So we've got to give ourselves a second here to step back into objectivity, where it's almost like you are stepping out of the story for a moment and you're watching it. But again, what's interesting is that when we're in reactivity, we sort of paralyze, and then we can start taking action from that place. We can get really mad, defensive, and blamey, and all that other stuff, when really all we need to do is gather that information so that then we can consciously move forward and start to create a new story that allows us to move in the direction we desire to go. So the message is really about that moment of stepping back when an action happens, when you get bad news, having a moment to step back. And we need, in order to do that, we need to create a pattern disruption or create a frequency shift. And, in the incidents where, let's say we're in that car accident where you have to make a choice, like it's happened, we've pulled over, we moved ourselves to safety, we did all the things that we need to do. But we take a moment where we shift the energy for a moment. It might be a quick somatic breath, and this is one I've been using with all my clients because it's so effective. But you're taking a deep breath in through the nose. You can hold it at the top if it helps, and then a long, slow exhale through pursed lips, like you're blowing through a straw. So you do 1 or 2 or even 3 of those, and it's a pattern disruption. It's getting you out of that story process and getting you to focus on your nervous system and calming and regulating yourself. And from there, with that moment, you've created a frequency shift, and now you can choose, do I want to continue to panic? Do I want to continue to react and go down that path? Or do I want to choose how I respond? What would I like this moment to lead me into? I would like it to lead me into ease, to an easy solution, something that takes care of myself and the other person, something that is fair and balanced, something that is covered by my insurance totally. Something, like thinking about like, what is it you'd like to create and aligning yourself with that energy. And you don't need to know the how. And that is something else that when I'm working with people, we get kind of stuck on it. And I get stuck on it too sometimes, but we get stuck on how. Well, yeah, I want all that, but how am I going to do it? We've got to remember, we just need to pick the program. It's like a program that would be playing on your computer, right? You need to pick what operational system is running. So when I'm using my computer, and let's say I want to do something where I am using Photoshop, I need to choose Photoshop, and then I can start getting it to unfold, right? But before I tell my computer, open Photoshop, there's like a lot of things that could happen, right? I haven't picked a path. As soon as I click on Photoshop and it starts opening. Now everything becomes clear. The step-by-step becomes clear. And it's the same about being future-oriented and picking that end point. What does the end look like? What is the solution? The solution is I am taken care of. This is financially easy for me. It does not burden me. It does not burden the other person. It resolves quickly. This comes to an end. It gets fixed. All is well. I move on. That's my end point. That's my program. That's what I want to work with. Once I've chosen that consciously, that's when the how starts to unfold itself. It becomes so much easier to see how you're going to get to this end point once you've chosen the end point. And again, when we're living from that external to internal interface, we're not always clear that we can do that. And the first steps to getting clear that you can do that is to recognize that when an event happens, no matter what it is, that there is an automatic unconscious reaction, and that we can stop engaging in it simply by stepping back and creating a pattern disrupt. The pattern disrupt being something that shifts your frequency. In the scenario I gave, it was doing this deep breathing. Other things you could do are make a loud sound, clap your hands, yell, jump up and down, dance, do something, put your legs up the wall. There's so many different ways that we can sort of disrupt this stream of thought that would allow us to get a more bird's eye view of the choices that are available to us. And once we have that awareness, then we choose the outcome we desire and let the how unfold. So I'm pretty sure my team's going to continue to talk to us about this all year, just because that's what they've been doing so far. No matter how much I try to reach for something else, because I'm like, no, we got to give people something else to focus on. My team keeps bringing me back to, this is the most important thing. So keep focusing on this until it starts to make sense to you, until it starts to become something you're choosing naturally. Keep focusing your attention here to help you create monumental shifts for yourself. So we'll keep doing that as long as they keep advising it. And with that, let's see how the karma cards line up with this message. If you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here, planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team what's the message for this week. And I've got 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune in with that beautiful intuition of yours and feel what is the guidance you need this week. Are you looking for action related guidance, or do you want to see how things resolve over the next week? And of course, you can always choose both. And while you are choosing, the timing for this reading is February 17th through February 24th. And the flavor of this reading, we've got Mars, which is the one in retrograde right now. Mars is all about how we're taking action in the sign of Leo, which is where we're tapping into our leadership and our sovereignty, so our ability to create and choose in the first house. So the first house of self-image, self-expression, what we think about ourselves is what we are creating. All right, so for those who are choosing action, your spiritual action at this time is to energize leadership immediately. Yeah, recognize that you have a choice. Leadership is that ability to be like, no one's telling me what to do. I am deciding what to do. So recognize you always have a choice. And of course, immediately being, do it right now. Okay, we will. All right, your mental action at this time is to confront the creativeness of the way you project yourself. Again, the projection of yourself, right? So when we're in a reactive state, we're projecting ourselves into a problem. Like we're getting really invested in the problem, and the problem is just sort of exploding and putting goop all over everything and creating more messes for us to clean up. That's one form of projection. The other is the response, right? So I'm projecting myself into the future timeline where this actually resolves easily and beautifully and things are better than how they started, right? That's another form. So it's asking us to get really clear about how you're projecting yourself, not just what you're projecting at all times, but when you're projecting yourself into these stories, Do you recognize you've got choices there? When we are automatically and unconsciously responding, we often don't recognize we have a choice. So it is this moment where they're asking us to like wake up and remember that you have choices, and a big part of your choice right now is which reality are you going to project, one that is harmful to you in some way or one that's helpful to you. Physical action at this time, force yourself to do what you want and do it on your own. Okay, so Mars is the forceful energy here, right? So that's sort of a pushy energy, but what it's saying is like you're going to have to overcome an automatic system. So the automatic system is the survival mechanism response that gets kicked off by any catalyst that we experience. You can't help that you react. If you see something horrific, you can't help going, the jump scare is going to happen. So when something unfavorable appears, right, that when the objective issue, like a car accident, appears, you're going to have a hard time stopping yourself from doing it. So what you're going to have to do is let it happen, but then consciously overcome that. And that's where the pattern disrupt is very important, because you're going to have a gut response. That's going to happen. Now we have to pull ourselves out of it. So that's where the kind of force comes in, because it's so easy to get sucked into it. You're already on a journey when you have an automatic unconscious response. So you're going to have to wake up to, I don't have to go down that road. Oh, I'm going down that road. Okay, hold on. Pattern disrupt, right? And that's the forceful aspect of it. And it only you can do that for yourself. So even if you had someone in the car next to you telling you it's going to be okay, this might actually work out better than you think, they can't pull you out of your reaction. Even if they're trying to, they cannot do it. That's something you have to do. If they're there reminding you have a choice, it makes it a little easier for you, but really the only one who can pull you out of a story you're in is you. All right, so now let's look at outcomes for Mars in Leo in the first house of self. Spiritual outcome at this time, the drive for self-confidence to create who you are. There is an urge to get this, right? There's it's like we're all aware, we get it. Like maybe we're on the same page as we're listening. You're like, right, I'm going to have an automatic response. I can step back, I can pattern disrupt and then choose my pattern. All of that makes sense to you and probably motivates you. You're like, cool, next time, or while I'm dealing with this thing, and you can use this now. You don't have to wait till something fresh happens. If you're in the middle of something right now that's distressing you or stressing you out or causing you to worry, you can use this technique right now where you pattern disrupt, ask yourself to come out of it, and really then consider, instead of this story I'm telling myself, is it helpful or hurting? It's hurting. Okay, what's the helpful version? What's the version that actually helps me feel better? What's the version that helps motivate me to move forward? What's the version that gives me the outcome I desire? Go into that. Mental outcome at this time, the confronting of taking a chance on what you desire. Okay, so this is the one I find interesting, because our reaction to the catalyst we're experiencing is very convincing. It's very strong. Like I said, if you're on the outside of watching someone's issue and you're trying to pull them out, they don't come out of that easily. I'm sure you've been in that position where you've been the helpful friend or the loving support to somebody going through something, and you can clearly see that it's not as bad as they're telling themselves, and you're trying to convey that to them, and they're just really stuck on it. They're like, yeah, but you don't get it. It's not happening to you. And so they start working to discredit you and prove themselves right. Right? We do that to ourselves. So even as I'm sharing this message with you, and you probably are like, I like it, I want to, but Therese, you don't understand. I got blah, 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 blah. And we start working to reinforce or prove the current story we're telling ourselves is the truth rather than shift. So we got to recognize that we're we're not always so easy to shift this. If we're pretty convinced by it, if our story is like, and it keeps getting concurred, like let's say you're going through a health issue and you're trying to tell yourself, I can heal. I actually have the power to do this. On one level, you're very down with that idea, but then you get another medical test and it comes out kind of reinforcing the reaction story. You're unfortunately going to use that to help prove your reaction right, rather than recognizing that you can still shift it. So there is a bit of a tug of war in our own minds right now around this. One part of you very much wants to believe this is true, and another part of you is going to fight like hell to prove that you're already true. Like it's already happening the way it's going to happen. What we have to understand is energy is just going to go where the focus is. So if the focus is on the drama, energy is going to go there and keep building. If you start putting it over here, you've got energy already over here in the drama. Now you're starting to put it in the solution. There's like a point at which there's more energy in the drama than in the solution. And if you keep adding more energy, like if you keep going back to that drama and adding it, you keep raising the stakes. So what you're going to have to do is put more energy in the solution until it becomes the dominant energy. Once that starts happening, this drains pretty fast and this one starts taking off. But you got to see that you've got to get that level changed. And once you've already put some energy into your drama, into the story of the reaction, you've got some gas in the tank now. Like, of course, energy is going to go there. So you're going to have to work double hard to get this level to rise, to get the desired outcome level to rise. You're going to have to put a lot more conscious effort and energy there. And people don't always understand that. They don't understand. They're like, but if that's what was supposed to happen, then energy would automatically go there. They forget that they're the one pouring energy into the scenario. They're like, but this happens automatically. It's like, yeah, because you already, from the moment the action started, unconsciously started putting the energy there. You started filling up this tank, the drama tank, right? And we do that. It was just like the minute we react, whoo, oh my God, that's so scary, story starting, and now I'm pouring gas into this tank and it's getting some traction. So we're going to have to put effort and energy here. And people, I think that they believe that if it's supposed to work like that, it would be automatic. And it's like, your brain doesn't automatically go to peace and healing and harmony because it's got a survival instinct that's looking for trouble. We're looking for drama. We're looking for the fire. We're looking for the fight. We're looking for the threat. So automatically, we're already going to put energy over there. So I hope you see that. I hope that metaphor makes sense and why it takes a little more effort, more consistently to focus on that which you desire to create. Because on an unconscious level, you're constantly looking for the drama. All right, physical outcome at this time. Action resulting from the impressiveness of your action. I love how redundant these cards get sometimes. What I'm hearing from this is the next thing that happens really depends on where you put the gas. Where did you put more energy? Over here in drama or over here in solution and desired outcome, right? So the next kind of big wave will show you where you put more of the energy. And for those who are listening, the good news is you're probably already like on this page with me where you consciously are trying to shift it. So this is just going to help reinforce that, maybe reinforce your motivation or commitment to do it, because you'll get it. You'll be like, right, if the more I put over here, the harder I have to work to shift it. So let me just keep shifting. I'm going to redouble down my effort in shifting. So because of that action, you're going to see a positive response sooner than later. But just in general, depending on where we're spending most of our mental energy, where we're putting most of our consciousness and directing our energy is what we're going to get next. It's going to give us the next step. So the goal with this week's message is for us to understand sort of how it works. 2, if we want to create the shift sooner, we got to pattern disrupt quicker. So Again, you cannot help that you're going to react. You cannot help the instant survival story that comes in. All you can do is try to get conscious of, oh, I'm in my survival story. The story isn't helping me. Okay, pattern disrupt. Like I'm going to do something to disrupt this thought, and then I'm going to consciously, now what do I want? What do I want to create? What would be the most favorable outcome, which is the most helpful story for me to tell? And I start moving my energy there. And then understanding as I do that, then I'm going to get the chain of inspired action steps to take. That's how it will come, right? So I don't have to panic about what do I do? I just have to focus on what do I want to create. Inspired action comes from that. So that's our metaphysical assignment at this time. And I'm going to work on it with you and we'll see how we do. But let me know in the comments, is this something that's already like you're becoming aware of? Is it something you're only just getting aware of? Do you have a criticism of this process and you don't believe that's how it works? Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below and let me know so that we can have an open discussion about this. Because again, it's not about trying to say that there's a right way to do things or not. It's about what you desire to create and recognizing your own sovereignty and leadership in your life and how you're more in control of what happens next than perhaps you think you are. So with that, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm sending you so much love. Have a beautiful week, and I will see you very soon.